Brad, I must admit I had my reservations about yesterday because of Wembley. French football slang at the moment, and Monaco, they've spoilt the party basically, 2-1. A big disappointment, Brad.
Disappointing result. If you're going to look at things, it is a bigger pitch. So the way that Mauricio likes to set out his teams, they do like the press, and I'm sure the more games they get to play on it, the better they'll be. Coming off a really good result in the Premier League, you thought the result may be different, but look on the bright side as well. The other game was a draw. So when they play in a couple of weeks' time, the league table can look different.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan had his reservations, but I was pretty confident that they'd do Monaco after a great win against Stoke. But I think you've got to give Monaco a little bit of credit, Brad, which we haven't seen in the papers today. It's more about how bad Spurs were, is that they set up, they were difficult, made it frustrating for Spurs, and held on to the lead.
Yeah, especially in the first half, they condensed the space really well in that middle third, and when they won the ball, and they broke. And I think the little interview from Harry Kane said that, and that's something that they're going to have to come to terms with. I can't think that CSK is going to come to Wembley and press all over the field, and even the Germans and Leverkusen, I'm sure they're going to be tactically astute. So, listen, I'm sure it's a learning experience, and they're going to have to take that on board. And listen, the staff there, Mauricio and the others, they'll know what to do, and they'll get the boys.
Nothing
right.
to do with Wembley, Brad, because that's last 5 consecutive games have been beaten at Wembley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it must have a little bit to do with the size of the pitch. I watched Man City play today, and Pep Guardiola has them pressing all over the field, and I know that's something that Mauricio likes to do as well. And when you do step onto the bigger field, there is that extra 2, 3, maybe sometimes 5 yards of space for players to get into the passing lanes. And saying that, Monaco sat back a little bit, and then they exploited the pace in behind the back four, especially in that first half time. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. And maybe it's the first time back in the Champions League for a couple of years. And it's a big occasion, and there's a lot of new players in the team. So maybe it was that first sight of it for some of the players, and now that's over, and they'll be able to be more accustomed to it going forward.
It's interesting what you say there, Brad, and I couldn't agree more. The pressing. All the best teams, club sides in Europe do it. You look at Barca when they lose the ball. You look at Bayern Munich. You look at City now, Real Madrid. They press. Yesterday, we were talking about the Arsenal with their first half performance over in Paris, and it was the French side who were pressing Arsenal. Arsenal couldn't get out of trouble first half. Second half was much, much better. I think the modern game now, you have to be fit as a fiddle, and you have to squeeze up and push and press as much as you can. It's simple. The best teams do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, being physical is one, competing is another. And people can talk about all the technically gifted players in the world, and they are that. But you just mentioned the names, the Bayern Munichs, the Barcelonas. They all press, and they all compete. And it doesn't matter if you're 5'4" or 6'4". Yeah. Every single one of the players. I mean, look at Aguero. He's not tall, and he's strong as can be. And when he wants to stay on his feet, he can.
Yeah.
It's all the players are so strong nowadays, and the athleticism is not going away with the way that the diet, sports science, nutrition, it's going that way, and it's not going to stop for some time.
Yeah. What about yourself, Brad? Now you're in LA. The MLS, we're seeing quite a bit. I see Frank Lampard back in the goals as well. A hat-trick there a few weeks ago. You still happy doing what you're doing now back home?
Yeah, I'm still the head coach of the under-19 national side. Just got back from tournaments in Valencia, Slovakia, Serbia. Just got back from Florida as well, doing some scouting. This is my next group in a year's time will be the 2000 birth years. So I was starting my scouting with them. I fly around here and there doing some consulting work and work for Fox Television. So yes, I'm very busy, very happy.
More jobs than Quinny.
No, not more jobs than Quinny.
Brad, I don't know whether you caught Leicester in the Champions League last night, but obviously no Chelsea this year. But Leicester, as champions of England, won their first game 3-0. It doesn't look the strongest group, but it's nice to see another team from the Premier League in the Champions League. Fresh team.
Yeah, it was really good. Some free kick as well by Mahrez. Yeah, so I worked the Champions League with Fox. So yeah, we watched all the games, and you're absolutely right. It's not the strongest group, but any team that comes into the Champions League is not going to be terrible, and you're going to have to, especially, and again, it's going to be first time in the Champions League for a lot of those players. So you never know if the occasion's going to be too big. It wasn't, and a great 3 points for him.
Yeah. Brad, just a quickie. We're not far away now, and I don't know if Fox are covering it, but the Ryder Cup coming from down in Minnesota, isn't it? America now, they're the strong favourites with the bookmakers here. They feel Europe have got too many rookies. Is it beginning to hype up the Ryder Cup now, or is it still all about the natural American sports?
No, it's still about the natural American sports at this moment in time. But the one thing that has started to creep up a little bit in the media is Tiger Woods' inclusion as one of the captains, and he's coming back after another long layoff. So whenever Tiger Woods is going to be involved in events, the media will start picking up.
Even now, Brad. Even now.
Yes. Even now, that's whenever his name is mentioned, the media comes on fire. I think it was Rory McIlroy stated that he was glad he wasn't going to be in Tiger's first tournament that he's coming to, because it's going to be a circus. And the U.S. media is still attached to Tiger Woods for good or bad. They want to know what his next moves are going to be. So whenever his name's mentioned, it's bright lights over here.
Well, he's going to be driving around the Ryder Cup place as a chauffeur. Win the Ryder Cup. That's his next job anyway. To keep him part of it.
I'm surprised you two are looking at the bookies on that one. What are we gonna do?
Alan he's lumped on Europe. Brad, a quick word on Villa, Aston Villa. It's been, well, let's say, a disappointing start. In the end, they did spend a few quid in the transfer window, Aston Villa, but two late equalisers, both home games in the last two games, has cost them dearly.
Yeah, and when you looked at the squad that relegated, and you looked at the names that were there weren't too many that you would probably want in the championship. And when you did go through a season like you did, there's going to be a lot of players that are low on confidence. So I wasn't too surprised once the takeover went through that there was a turnover in players. And then you two know just as well as I do, when you do get a big turnover of players, sometimes sometimes it works and gels really quickly. Other times it takes a couple of months. And I'm afraid what the Villa faithful are seeing right now is that it might take a couple of months. The club is too big a club, too great a club to be in the championship. I really do hope they turn it around and get themselves back in the Premier League. Had a wonderful 3 years there, some great people, and it's just a shame to see them in the championship. I think you guys would agree, too big of a club to be in the championship.
And I tell you, Brad, it doesn't make good reading what I'm about to say now. I'm just looking at the top of the championship. Huddersfield, Newcastle flying, Barnsley up there, Norwich. At the bottom, though, Brad, one of your clubs you spent many years at, Blackburn Rovers, bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's hard. Lots and lots of people ask me about Blackburn Rovers. It's difficult for me to compare them to when I was there. The Sir Jack Walker, and then when he passed away, the Walker Family Trust ran the club impeccably, and you'd have to say John Williams and Tom Finn, Martin Goodwin, Andrew Pencher, all those guys, they ran it impeccably well. It's a family-run club. They never overspent, but also never underspent. We had competitive teams. Every player that signed there really enjoyed their time there. Since the Venky's takeover, I haven't been there personally, but I've had quite a few friends on the fan side, on the board side, and also the playing side. It's just not the same club, and they're going through another terrible time. Really, really bad start.
Yeah.
Again, I can't say that Blackburn's a big club like Aston Villa as far as the fan base and the surrounding areas, However, it's a club that and the fans that deserve a lot more than what they're getting right now.
Brad, I'm just looking last night, Tottenham losing, Villa struggling, Blackburn bottom, and you going for a stroll round Rodeo Drive in a few months. I think you might have made the right decision, Brad.
You're not okay. As long as you're not blaming it on me, that's fine.
Brad, talk later. Thank you.
Cheers, Brad.
All right, guys. Take care.